My name is Jonathan Reed, and at 60, I've lived through enough harvests in Greenfield, Kansas, to know every season by heart. Reed Family Farm isn't just 150 acres of wheat and sunflowers. It's my family's legacy. My grandfather, William Reed, first dug his hands into this fertile Kansas soil back in 1940. Each generation after him has kept that promise alive, nurturing the golden fields that symbolize our family's dedication, struggle, and pride. Growing up, mornings always began the same. The distant rumble of a tractor's engine, golden wheat swaying softly under dawn's amber glow, and my father's deep, reassuring voice reminding me that this farm wasn't just land. It was life. When Dad passed, I felt that responsibility settle onto my shoulders. My wife, Emma, and our son, Tom, stood firmly beside me, continuing the quiet, steadfast rhythm of farm life. But about 12 years ago, the calm fabric of Greenfield began to unravel when the Sunnybrook Estates developers arrived. Luxury homes sprang up right alongside our farm, bringing new neighbors who were friendly but unfamiliar with the gentle inconveniences of rural life. At first, things seemed manageable. We maintained a respectful distance, a 60-foot buffer zone of wildflowers and evergreens to preserve harmony. We even opened the sunflower field for occasional community photos and welcomed visitors warmly. Then came Lisa Monroe, former high-powered New York real estate lawyer, who moved into Sunnybrook Estates and swiftly took control of their homeowners association. Lisa's reputation preceded her. Tall, impeccably dressed, with piercing eyes that scanned surroundings like she was always building a case, Lisa quickly made her intentions clear. She saw my farm as an obstacle, a blight, detracting from the neighborhood's pristine image, and she wasted no time letting me know it. Complaint letters arrived almost weekly. The tractor noises were intolerably loud. Dust from harvesting was polluting their perfect gardens, and the natural fertilizer, a fundamental part of sustainable farming, was an unacceptable nuisance. Each word in her letters felt sharp, deliberately chosen to cut deep. I tried reasoning, explaining that farming can't conform neatly to suburban schedules. But Lisa's responses were cold dismissals, letters signed with an arrogant flourish, as if daring me to challenge her authority. Tom, pragmatic and fiercely protective, often urged me to fight back harder. Emma, gentle but equally determined, reminded me of our community roots, counseling patience and diplomacy. I remained hopeful, believing civility could prevail. After all, these newcomers were neighbors, even if our lives differed vastly. But that hope shattered on a crisp morning in September. The sun barely peeked over the horizon as I inspected the wheat fields, their golden waves promising a bumper harvest. That's when I heard the jarring crunch of tires tearing through stalks, a sickening sound, etched forever into memory. Lisa's black Lexus SUV plowed through nearly 2 acres of wheat, leaving devastation in her wake. As I ran toward her, anger surged, tangled with disbelief. She stepped casually from her vehicle, unaffected by the damage around her. "What on earth do you think you're doing?" I shouted, voice trembling with rage. She met my gaze calmly, adjusting her designer sunglasses. "Verifying our boundary line. It seems your crops might be encroaching onto community property," she replied coldly, brushing wheat fragments off her tailored jacket. "Perhaps it's time to reconsider your place here, Mr. Reed. Progress waits for no one, not even stubborn old farmers." At that moment, standing amidst the ruined field, I knew that patience and diplomacy were no longer enough. This was no simple neighborly dispute. Lisa Monroe had declared war on our way of life, and my family's legacy hung in the balance. I stared at Lisa Monroe in disbelief, the remnants of crushed wheat stalks scattered beneath her expensive boots. My chest tightened with a mix of rage and helplessness. Tom sprinted across the field, his usually calm demeanor replaced by raw anger. "Are you serious right now?" he shouted, eyes blazing. "You've just destroyed 2 acres of prime wheat." Lisa glanced at him dismissively, as if he were merely an inconvenience. I have every right to inspect property boundaries, she stated evenly. The HOA bylaws are clear. You can have your lawyer call ours. My fists clenched instinctively, but I steadied my breathing, forcing composure. You crossed a line, Lisa. This isn't New York. This is our livelihood. She tilted her head slightly, smiling coldly. Maybe you should consider selling. Greenfield is changing, Mr. Reed. You can't stand in the way of progress forever. As Lisa drove away, tires kicking dust and broken stalks behind her, Tom stood beside me, visibly trembling. Dad, we need to do something. She won't stop until she drives us off our own land. Returning home, Emma took one look at us and knew something terrible had happened. Over cups of bitter coffee, we explained everything. Her gentle eyes hardened as she listened. This is more than harassment, Emma whispered fiercely, gripping my hand. This is a direct attack. We need legal help, Jonathan, now. That afternoon, we sat in Michael Stanton's modest downtown office. Michael was a respected attorney known throughout Greenfield for his fairness and intellect. His office walls, lined with shelves of legal texts, felt simultaneously comforting and imposing. You're telling me Lisa Monroe drove her vehicle intentionally through your crops? Michael's disbelief matched ours. He leaned back, his silver hair gleaming under office lights, shaking his head in astonishment. Jonathan, that's not just trespassing. That's criminal damage. But knowing Lisa, she's banking on your hesitation to engage in costly litigation. Tom, his voice taut with frustration, interjected, Then let's sue her. She's counting on Dad being too nice to fight. We have proof. The tire tracks, the photos we took. Michael raised his hand slightly. Let's think strategically first. Litigation could drain you financially. Lisa is shrewd, and she'll fight dirty. He paused thoughtfully, looking at me. Jonathan, we need to confirm your property lines clearly and beyond dispute. We'll start by reviewing every record related to your land. The following days were a blur of paperwork and archives. At County Hall, Tom and I sifted through dusty survey maps and faded property deeds. Emma meticulously organized the documents into binders, each representing decades of family history, now weapons in our battle for justice. Late one evening, in the quiet glow of our dining room lamp, Tom suddenly went still. Dad, look at this. I leaned in, scanning the old survey carefully. My pulse quickened as I realized the implication. It was unmistakable. Sunnybrook Estates hadn't just built close to our land. Their luxurious centerpiece, the community park with its ornamental lake, sprawling gardens, and exclusive sculpture exhibits, was constructed almost entirely on 3 acres of our land. Acres clearly and legally belonging to Reed Family Farm. Tom's voice shook with cautious excitement. They're the ones encroaching, Dad. Lisa Monroe's precious community centerpiece is on our property. But staring at the document, my anger faded into determination. Lisa Monroe had drawn her line in the sand, and now it was our turn to respond, firmly and decisively. I held the aged survey map under the soft glow of the dining room light, my hands trembling slightly. The faded lines on yellowed paper clearly indicated that the Sunnybrook Estates Community Park, the pride and joy of Lisa Monroe's neighborhood, had been illegally constructed on our land. 3 acres of prime property, quietly taken from us without our knowledge. Emma gently took the document from my shaking fingers, scanning it herself before looking up in astonishment. Jonathan, this changes everything. Tom's voice was low but firm. Dad, she accused us of encroaching, when all this time they're the ones who've stolen our land. This is bigger than a dispute. This is outright theft. I sat down heavily, processing the revelation. Anger swirled with confusion inside me. How could such a massive oversight occur without anyone noticing? The next morning, with a sleepless night behind me, I stood with Tom outside the lavishly landscaped entrance to Sunnybrook Estates. The sprawling, ornamental lake sparkled mockingly in the sunlight, the ornate sculptures and perfectly manicured flower beds serving as a constant reminder of the injustice we now faced. We immediately headed to Michael Stanton's office again, laying the documents across his desk. Michael's eyes widened in disbelief as he reviewed the detailed survey maps and deeds. "You're absolutely right," he finally admitted, tapping the paper thoughtfully. "Sunnybrook Estates built their crown jewel illegally on your property. This mistake could undo Lisa Monroe's entire position, legally and publicly." "So, what's next?" Tom asked urgently. "Do we sue immediately?" Michael hesitated, steepling his fingers carefully. "Lisa's formidable legally. Before any action, we must gather irrefutable evidence. We need modern verification, a new official land survey, confirmed by the county. Once we have that, Lisa won't have a legal leg to stand on." We wasted no time. Within days, a professional surveying team arrived at Reed Family Farm. As they measured meticulously, neighbors watched curiously. Gossip spread rapidly, whispers about property lines igniting conversations throughout Greenfield. Yet, I kept our discovery quiet. I wanted undeniable proof in hand first. After the surveyors left, the senior surveyor approached me privately, handing me the sealed envelope with an understanding nod. "Mr. Reed, your documents were correct. The HOA built extensively on your property. You've got one solid case here." That evening, with official confirmation safely locked away, I decided to approach Lisa directly. Maybe, despite our differences, we could still resolve this reasonably. After all, I thought people, even Lisa Monroe, must respond to clear evidence. But when I presented her with the new survey results on her front porch, Lisa barely glanced at the paper before pushing it dismissively back toward me. "Jonathan, you underestimate me," she sneered softly. "Do you really think you're the first stubborn landowner I've faced down? Try suing us. My attorneys will bury you in court fees. By the time we're done, your precious farm will be a distant memory." Her words cut deep, confirming my worst fears. Lisa Monroe knew exactly what she had done, and intended to bully her way through, relying on intimidation and money. As I returned home that night, frustration churned inside me. But underneath was a newfound resolve. Lisa Monroe might have wealth, influence, and arrogance, but I had the truth. And now, with the facts behind us, we wouldn't merely fight for compensation. We'd fight for justice, for respect, and for every humble farmer who'd ever faced down a bully. The stage was set for a showdown neither Lisa nor the residents of Sunnybrook Estates would ever forget. Standing on the courthouse steps that crisp October morning, the wind tugged gently at my jacket, mirroring the restless tension inside me. Michael Stanton placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder as we watched Lisa Monroe's legal team stride confidently up the stairs. She led the way, her sharp eyes briefly meeting mine, a silent, challenging glare. I returned her gaze steadily, refusing to show intimidation. Today, truth would finally meet power head-on. Inside, the courtroom buzzed softly as neighbors filled the gallery, curious eyes fixed on me. Whispers traveled quickly in a small town, and everyone knew something significant was unfolding. Emma and Tom sat directly behind me, their quiet strength anchoring me as I took my seat beside Michael. The trial commenced. Lisa's attorneys opened aggressively, portraying us as disgruntled landowners seeking to exploit a minor survey error for personal gain. Their polished words wove a convincing tapestry, casting Lisa as the innocent protector of community standards. Lisa herself sat calmly, her composed demeanor reinforcing their carefully crafted narrative. Then Michael rose, calm and deliberate, methodically dismantling their facade. He placed the freshly certified surveys on the judge's bench, accompanied by clear photographs and decades-old county records. His voice was firm but measured, letting facts speak louder than emotion. "Your Honor," Michael stated calmly, "this isn't about disgruntlement or minor mistakes. Sunnybrook Estates and Miss Monroe knowingly and unlawfully constructed their community park on 3 acres of my client's property. And when confronted with this truth, responded by destroying my client's crops and threatening further harm. Murmurs rippled through the courtroom as the judge carefully examined the documents. Her brows knitted thoughtfully. Lisa's smugness faltered for the first time, her eyes narrowing with worry as she watched the judge's careful scrutiny. During the recess, residents from Sunnybrook approached me in the hallway, their faces troubled. Mary Jenkins, an elderly neighbor whose grandkids often visited our sunflower fields, took my hand gently. "Jonathan, we had no idea," she said quietly, her voice apologetic. "Lisa told us you were just causing trouble. Now I see the truth." Around her, several other residents nodded sympathetically. It was clear Lisa's hold over them was cracking. Their shifting sentiments strengthened my resolve. This fight was no longer just for my family's dignity. It was also about protecting the integrity of our community. Back in session, the judge's voice filled the courtroom, authoritative and clear. "Given the compelling evidence presented, I rule that the Reed family holds legal ownership over the disputed 3 acres. Sunnybrook Estates is indeed guilty of encroachment, Miss Monroe. The court strongly advises your HOA to seek immediate settlement with the Reed family. Failure to do so grants Mr. Reed the right to reclaim his property, including dismantling any structures built upon it." The gallery erupted into shocked whispers. Lisa visibly paled, her carefully maintained facade finally shattered by undeniable legal judgment. Yet, as we exited, she cornered me briefly, voice low and cold. "You may have won today, Jonathan," she hissed, "but I assure you this isn't over. I'll make sure you regret ever challenging me." Watching her walk away, a cold certainty settled in my chest. The legal victory was just the beginning. Lisa wouldn't relent. This battle was far from finished. Yet now, armed with truth and the unexpected support from the community, I knew we finally stood a chance at justice. After the court's verdict, Greenfield seemed to hold its breath. The days following this ruling were filled with tense silence and sidelong glances. Lisa Monroe launched an aggressive campaign, bombarding Sunnybrook Estates residents with letters painting me as vengeful and threatening massive financial assessments to fund further legal action. The tension in our quiet town felt suffocating. One evening, just as dusk settled over the fields, there was a hesitant knock at our door. Opening it, I found Mary Jenkins accompanied by nearly a dozen other Sunnybrook homeowners. Their anxious faces reflected the gravity of the moment. "Jonathan," Mary began softly, eyes earnest, "we want to know the truth. Lisa's telling us you're trying to destroy our community. But that's not the Jonathan Reed I've known for decades." I invited them inside, where Tom and Emma greeted everyone warmly, offering coffee and a quiet place to talk. Gathered around our weathered oak dining table, I laid out the survey maps, court documents, and photographs clearly showing the encroachment and damage to our crops. As I calmly explained each detail, I could feel their skepticism turning to realization, and finally, embarrassment. Frank Edwards, a retired engineer and respected HOA board member, studied the evidence closely before sighing deeply. "I trusted Lisa blindly," he admitted regretfully, "but it's clear she manipulated us all." Mary placed a gentle hand on mine, her eyes reflecting genuine sorrow. "We owe you an apology, Jonathan. We allowed Lisa's ambition to cloud our judgment. But now we see clearly. We stand with you." The others echoed their agreement. For the first time in weeks, I felt a genuine surge of hope. Word spread rapidly, igniting community action. Within days, the residents of Sunnybrook Estates organized a town hall meeting, without Lisa Monroe's involvement. Emma and I attended, cautiously optimistic, but prepared for anything. The large community room was packed, murmuring conversations hushed, as Frank Edwards stepped up to address the gathering. "We're here tonight because honesty and fairness matter," Frank began, voice resolute. "The Reed family has always been an integral part of Greenfield. They deserve our respect, not persecution. Therefore, tonight, We propose removing Lisa Monroe from her position immediately and accepting Jonathan's rightful terms of settlement. As Frank's words resonated, Lisa burst into the room, eyes blazing, voice trembling with anger. "You're all making a mistake. Jonathan Reed wants to tear down your community park. Don't you understand?" But Frank shook his head calmly. "No, Lisa. You're the one who made the mistake. We built on land that wasn't ours, and instead of correcting it, you bullied and threatened a good man and his family." The room erupted in agreement, drowning Lisa's protests. Shaking with fury, she stormed out, the slamming door echoing her defeat. That evening, the residents unanimously voted to meet my settlement terms: compensation for crop damages, annual land lease payments, and a public acknowledgement of wrongdoing. Moreover, they proposed community initiatives to rebuild trust, a monthly farmers market, and an annual sunflower festival celebrating local heritage. Driving home beneath stars, shining brighter than ever, I felt profound gratitude, not for the victory itself, but for witnessing our community come together, rediscovering values nearly lost to bitterness and division. Yet, in the quiet depths of my heart, a cautious voice reminded me Lisa Monroe wouldn't simply disappear. One final confrontation still awaited us, one that would test every ounce of resolve we possessed. Early morning sunlight spilled across our golden wheat fields, casting long shadows that seemed to echo my uncertainty. Today was the deadline for the HOA's settlement offer, yet I'd heard nothing from Lisa Monroe. Her silence spoke louder than threats. Something told me she wasn't finished yet. Tom, sensing my unease, stood beside me at the barn's edge. "She won't let this go quietly," he murmured, scanning the horizon cautiously. "Be ready for anything, Dad." No sooner had he spoken than the distant growl of a powerful engine broke the silence. Lisa's Lexus sped recklessly along our gravel driveway, scattering dust and gravel as it lurched to a halt, inches from where we stood. She stepped out briskly, eyes hard, voice barely controlled. "You think you've won, Jonathan?" she snapped, voice quivering with contempt. "If you dare touch the community park, I'll see to it personally that your farm's reputation never recovers. I have connections far beyond Greenfield." Something inside me shifted. Her threat no longer inspired fear. It inspired clarity. I met her gaze steadily, my voice calm and measured. "Lisa, this was never about winning. It's about respect, for land, for family, and for community. Something you might never understand." Her eyes narrowed, the brief flicker of doubt betraying her bravado. Without another word, she turned sharply, climbing back into her car and racing away. Hours later, as I prepared the machinery to reclaim our land, neighbors began gathering near the park's boundary line. Cameras from local news stations appeared, capturing every moment. Lisa stood among the crowd, isolated and defiant, clutching a cell phone, presumably ready to call in legal reinforcements. Michael Stanton stood beside me, holding the court order authorizing removal of any illegal structures. He nodded solemnly. "This is your moment, Jonathan. Whatever you decide, we stand with you." I climbed onto the bulldozer, feeling its engine vibrate reassuringly beneath me. As I inched forward, ready to reclaim justice, Lisa stepped onto the path, arms outstretched, desperation in her eyes. "You wouldn't dare," she screamed. "I'll ruin you." Before I could respond, Frank Edwards stepped forward boldly, addressing Lisa directly. "You've done enough damage, Lisa. Leave. Now." Cheers erupted from the crowd as neighbors rallied together, firmly pushing Lisa aside. Shocked, defeated, she watched helplessly as the bulldozer moved carefully, gently dismantling only a small, symbolic portion of the park's stone entryway, just enough to make our point without destroying beauty. Then I stopped. Cutting the engine, I turned to the gathered community, voice strong but emotional. "This park isn't just your pride, it's ours too. Let's rebuild trust here, together. Let's turn conflict into unity." Lisa, realizing her power had vanished, slumped away silently. The residents surrounded us warmly, their support overwhelming. In the weeks that followed, Our community flourished. Sunnybrook Estates established the promised farmers market, celebrating local produce and traditions. Our annual Sunflower Festival became Greenfield's most cherished event. Lisa quietly sold her home, leaving Greenfield forever. Standing beneath a sky ablaze with sunset hues one evening, Emma took my hand softly. "You didn't just win, Jonathan," she whispered gently. "You reminded everyone what truly matters: family, respect, and the strength of a community united." And in that moment, surrounded by fields of gold and hearts healed through courage, I knew she was right. Justice had finally bloomed, rooted firmly in truth and nourished by the compassion of neighbors, rediscovering their shared humanity.